Welcome, everyone, to Return on Automation, the show where we show you how to get the best return on your automation. I'm Patrick, the founder of Univium, a business automation development company. And today we're going to go over just current events, trends in AI and automation. We're going to look at some specific automation scenarios and answer some commonly asked automation questions. We do this show every Friday at 9 a.m. Central. And so let's just hop into it. First up, I'm just going to go over some current events in AI and automation over the past 2 weeks. It looks like there's a company called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Nuclearn, 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 or Nuclearn, maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting name, but apparently they got 10.5 million in funding for AI in the nuclear industry, specifically for safety monitoring and operational optimization, which I found that interesting. Just the fact that we're now trusting AI to get involved with improving and increasing safety. That's something, you have a lot of people that don't trust AI, but the fact that large companies are starting to use it for safety monitoring is just, I don't know. It's interesting. It's something to keep an eye on and track. Next up, we have a company called Obot AI, which has received 35 million in seed funding. And bear with me, I'm running a bit behind, so I'm kind of reading these in real time today. But it seems like it received funding co-led by Mayfield Fund. Let's see. I just got a notification that the video streaming quality may be bad, and so hopefully it clears up in just a bit. But I guess Obot AI provides affordable and adaptive AI assistant tools to streamline operations and enhance customer engagement. I'll be honest, I haven't heard of Obot AI, but I'm going to check it out and see kind of what it is. I guess it's a natural language processing. It looks like it integrates with a lot of different platforms. It's introducing the OBOT MCP gateway. And so that just may be a new platform to look at in general. Again, it just got 35 million in seed funding, so clearly it is at least gaining traction, gathering some attention. So new tools are coming out every day. There's a lot more of them than in the past because it's easier to make them now. So definitely good to keep an eye on new tools. The Office of Advocacy's AI Adoption Analysis. I guess the Office of Advocacy, I guess, is some kind of SBA association, or it's with the SBA, the Small Business Association. And I guess they are kind of showing reports. I guess they're releasing reports that are showing that small businesses are rapidly closing the AI adoption gap with a notable surge in usage over just 6 months, which I can definitely attest to myself. There's been a lot more demand in implementing and increasing AI in small businesses over the past couple months, and so they're encouraging small businesses to further explore AI solutions as adoption increases, highlighting potential competitive advantages over delaying integration. And I definitely recommend that. I know it's not always easy to integrate AI in your business. There's a lot of risks and concerns involved because we really don't know where it's going to end up. But definitely, you need to be looking into it and kind of seeing, hey, where can I, number one, what all can AI do, and where can I fit it in my business, essentially. And last but not least, there's a company called Revenue's AI usage survey release. I guess they're a reporting company. They released a survey showing that over 90% of small business owners use at least one AI tool, demonstrating a significant increase from earlier in the year. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. I think I actually am surprised that it's not 100%. Almost everyone I know uses ChatGPT. If you're not using AI tools, you definitely need to be. But that just kind of shows that it's becoming more normal, more normalized and whatnot in in society and in the business world. And so those are kind of our current events. I like to go over those at the beginning just to kind of give everyone an idea of where AI and automation is heading and what the kind of market outlook looks like. Next up, we have our segment, the automation hot seat, and that's just where I look at a specific automation scenario and I go in and I just kind of analyze it and I talk about how I would automate that uh, myself. And so the first one we have up, and I'm going to post this in the chat, is automating job applications with Typeform, Greenhouse, and Slack. This is an interesting one because I have some more ideas for that. Um, let's see. Give me just a second. I'm going to post this in the chat. Candidate applies via Typeform. So I'm curious. Let's read it. Candidate applies via Typeform. Responses flow into Greenhouse with resume attached. And Slack notifies HR with a link to review within 48 hours. Okay. So I guess I thought this was going to be like we're building something to apply to jobs. It looks like we're wanting to automate the receival of job applications. I really don't know too many employers that actually use Typeform to receive job applicants, but it's definitely possible. I may just not be in the loop. It's been a minute. When I quit my job to start my company, obviously I wasn't submitting job applications. And then before that, the last job I had, done a round of applying to was before ChatGPT was mainstream. And so I never really got a chance to kind of see where that took things. And so maybe that's a common thing now is that people apply to jobs via Typeform. And I don't know what Greenhouse is. I'm gonna look that up. Greenhouse, applicant tracking software. Okay, so I guess maybe if you have like a careers or a job application thing on your website and you want to take it from Typeform and get it into Greenhouse, the first thing I'm going to look at is does Greenhouse have a API? And so that's something if you're looking for like software for your small business, always look and try and find a platform with a really good, really robust API. That's something I help a lot of people with. They're like, hey, we're looking at this platform. Can you just tell us like, is this something that we can kind of grow with over time? A lot of times it's hard. They might have some shiny features on the front end, but whenever you're looking at a new application for your business, you need to ask yourself, can this be integrated with other stuff and can we grow with it over time? And so let's look at Greenhouse and see if they have a good API. And eventually I'm going to get some software where I can share my screen on here. Um, Again, we've only been doing this show for a couple of weeks, so we're still getting our operations in order. Greenhouse API overview. So they do have a API, it seems. And let's take a look. Well, okay. Okay, they do. They have multiple APIs. They have the onboarding API, ingestion API, assessment API, job board API. And so it looks relatively it looks pretty robust actually. Yeah, okay. It looks pretty robust just at a quick glance. Normally I would look at it a bit more in depth, understand what actions we're trying to take and whatnot, but I mean they have a lot of information on there. So for the sake of this scenario, let's assume that their API can do whatever we need, which isn't always the best thing to assume, but for the sake of time. So responses flow into Greenhouse. That's as simple as having Typeform send data to a webhook. I could do an innate automation to process that data and then do an API call to put it into Greenhouse. And then that same innate automation, I could have it send a Slack notification to HR. If HR has like a specific channel, I could have it go straight to that channel and a link to review within 48 hours. There's some nuance. I'd have to look at the link URL structure for the Greenhouse application, but typically most platforms have a pretty good setup in that regard, and so we would just have a link directly to wherever the application is in Greenhouse for them to review it, and maybe a notification saying within 48 hours. And if you wanted, we could also even do some kind of scheduled automation to send a reminder if it hasn't been reviewed in 48 hours or if there's only a couple hours remaining. And so yeah, that was a really simple one. I think I kind of had it easy today. All right. And so last but not least, we have the automation questions. And so let me pull these up and take a look. And so I'm going to post the first question here is should AI be allowed to override automation triggers? That's a good one that makes me think. Um, should it be allowed to override automation triggers? I'm trying to think of what that means by override. You either allow the AI to trigger another automation or you don't. Yeah, I'd say that could be useful. You could have an automation that says like, hey, we're taking in, I guess just to kind of go off the applicant thing, we're taking in an applicant. Uh, if it seems like a good applicant, then trigger an escalated review workflow somewhere or send an escalated review Slack message, trigger a completely different automation. So yeah, I would say, override, I don't know if that's the right term, but I would say allowing AI to make decisions on what workflows or automations are triggered, I would say that probably is a good practice. Now you have to be careful with that. You don't want to give it too much control. You definitely don't want AI handling your finances yet. I don't think, although there are probably some platforms out there, but I think allowing AI to manage your triggers, yes. What's the first process every business should automate? This is one I've answered before, and I would say look at the processes that, if they're interrupting you. So, like, one of the things is it's not just how much time it takes for you to do a given process that determines whether or not you should automate it. If it's interrupting you, interruptions throughout the day just really, really decrease your efficiency and your team's efficiency. So, look at automations that cause interruptions. Look at, look at what you're spending time on that's just like very repetitive. Look at what tasks drain you and versus give you energy. You want to automate the tasks that drain you, and that sort of thing. I would say if you look at those three things, then that'll kind of tell you, you know, what process you should automate. And I would say start with a lot of times I would recommend starting with the simplest, quickest win because it can help you see the potential of it. Don't start with the most complex automation and you're like, if I could build this giant, massive thing to do everything for me, then everything would be better. Don't necessarily start with building the biggest automation first. The first automation you build, if you don't do it often, you want to start small, simple, just some slight pain relief, and then from there, you see the potential. You start to enjoy the process of thinking about automation a bit more, and then from there, you kind of move forward and can grow on that. And then next automation is a bit more complex, and the next one's a bit more complex, and then before you know it, you have automations running more of your business than people are, which is always a good point if you do it right. What are the most common mistakes companies make when automating? I would say the most common mistake a company makes when automating is not being clear on the process before you automate. Always make sure your process is like clean and written down and step by step makes sense from a logical standpoint. With AI, I think especially with AI, a lot of people now think AI can like make up a process or that you don't have to have some form of logic to get AI to be productive, you do. You need to make sure that you have a good process. The second thing I would say is data governance. A lot of companies, don't necessarily pay attention to their data governance early on. I'd say a lot of clients I work with, when I first start working with them, their data can be a bit messy, which is why we actually have a data cleanup service as well that we do, and we make sure that we get the data all clean and segmented out and accurate. Because if your data is bad, your automations will be bad. If your data is incorrect, your automations will be incorrect and inefficient. And so definitely data governance. And I'm trying to think what else there is. I would say those are the two main things. There's some other things, back to, what process every business should automate. um, when it comes to like, you don't want to automate what your competitive edges. If there's something that you're doing every day that gives you a competitive edge, you don't want to automate that necessarily. You want to be doing whatever, wherever you provide the most value, you want to be doing that and you want to automate everything else. And so, automating the wrong things, I'd say, is sometimes a mistake. And I would say trying to start with the largest automation first. And I would say sometimes automating, and again, this goes back to the previous question, is automating before you look at the process. I have some people come to me and they're like, hey, we want to automate this. Can you build out the automation? And I look at their software and system. I'm like, I don't even have to automate this, but I can type up the SOP to like show you how to do it, and it'll be a lot cheaper, faster for you, and faster for me to just make it where this is running itself. Because a lot of platforms have, if you're using a SaaS or some kind of online web app or tool, a lot of them have settings that you can do that allow you to have a lot more functionality than usual. And so a lot of times people try to automate something when really adjusting the process would make it where you don't even need to automate it anymore. And I think also not recognizing the difference between like a full automation and a semi automation. And so like sometimes you can have a full automation, you automate the full process, right? But that kind of reduces your flexibility, and you might not have as much flexibility to kind of like change things and adjust for nuances throughout the process. And so there's a kind of a technique or a tactic you can use to build like semi automations that allow you to have like some automation kind of mixed in there. And I'll give an example of that is like there was one client that needed to send out a bunch of emails. And at first I built this bulk email to them. Like you can build a list of 100 people, click a button, it sends them all out at once. So like, that's great. But I get emails throughout the day and I'm kind of sending these emails out one by one throughout the day rather than all at once. And so I was like, oh, well, what I built doesn't really solve your problem. That was earlier on whenever I was still kind of learning automation. And I was like, okay, well, let's build a custom Gmail extension with templates and you can send these invites. And whenever you send the invites via the extension, it'll log it in your database and, and that sort of thing. And so that was kind of an example of a semi-automation. And when it logged in the database, it would kick off other workflows for tracking engagement, nurturing, and that sort of thing. So full automation versus semi-automation, definitely a important nuance, and a lot of people don't really think about that. So, anyways, I think that is pretty much everything for today. If you're watching, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, if there's a process you wish you could automate, chances are my automation development company, Univium, can make it happen. So, if that's you, head over to univium.com and let us know how we can help. And don't forget to, again, subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on LinkedIn and stay up to date for the latest small business automation.